following program is sponsored by Michael W. Smith. The views expressed on the following program are those of the host and not necessarily those of staff, management, or ownership.
Phoenix, Arizona, America. This is Brother Mike. I'm back on the radio. Welcome to HardcoreChristianity.com. Welcome to the program today. Thank you for tuning in. Today's Bible study, American Evangelical Perverts. Today on Hardcore. Call somebody quickly and tell them the radio program's on, would you? Got a couple of new research studies for you. One from Lifeway Research and one from Pew. You might find this interesting. I did. I hope you will. This is Brother Mike. I'm the professional counselor at the Arizona Deliverance Center. We're downtown on 15th Avenue, just south of Osborne Road. HardcoreChristianity.com is the website. As you know, I've been a professional counselor for 38 years. I've been on the radio for 18 years. And we have 2 live services every week, Thursday and Friday nights at 7 o'clock. Brother Rick and the ministry team are exploding this one on Thursday night. This thing's got to be the most anointed deliverance service anywhere in the United States. Take advantage of it and bring somebody down there to get healed, for crying out loud. Hurry. 7 p.m. Thursdays. Friday nights, 7 p.m., my service where I have my teaching for my radio listeners. Thank you guys for showing up. 7 p.m. on Fridays. We never shut down for COVID-19. I saw that as a hoax. 2 people in the United States saw it as a total hoax. Me and the governor of South Dakota. We were the only 2 people who saw right through it. I never shut down any services. I never canceled one counseling appointment. I completely ignored it. The Holy Spirit protected us all the way through it. No problemo. On the website, the homepage, Sister Karen is on there, ready to list your house for sale. She loves to work with Spirit-filled Christians. Absolutely loves it. They love her. My daughter, Tara Smith, is also a licensed therapist in the great state of Arizona. She is also on the home page of the website. The PayPal button for your donations and our tithing app is also available on the website. And thank you for all your kind donations over the last 18 years. A new schedule on darkskyradio.com. I love my new listeners on the internet radio program. Darkskyradio.com is now on. Brother Mike, 10:30 a.m., 10:45 a.m., and 9 p.m., 7 days a week. Thank you for joining me. Love you guys. Evangelical Perverts. Let me share a couple of new research studies with you. I keep track of this stuff so you don't have to do it. Here's the Lifeway one. Check it. Quote, as many as 1 in 5 evangelicals in the United States reject biblical teaching on sex and gender. Instead, they embrace the idea of gender fluidity. Folks, I've been going over this for, a couple of years now. This transgender thing is Satan's new deal. It is a gasping, satanic, demonic farce. It's scary. It's absolutely scary, the lives that this thing is ruining. Lifeway did a research on a couple of things. Number 1, premarital sex. Number 2, non-married sex. I guess they also included that in there. And they also included gender fluidity. Translation, is there more than 2 genders? There's a male and a female, according to the Bible. And trust me, that's the only 2 there are. There are not 3. There's only 2, just like God said in Genesis. But they did what they called a state of theology study. And the study was paid for by Legionnaire Ministries out of Orlando, Florida. Here's what they found. A lot of it was kind of interesting, I thought. After surveying more than 3,000 Americans in March of 2020, researchers found that those who live in the northeastern part of the country are most likely to agree with gender fluidity, 44%. Likewise, younger Americans, those aged 18 to 34, are also more likely to support the idea. 50% supported it. Older Americans, though, ages between 50 and 64 are least likely to agree, 64%. That kind of went the way you thought it would, didn't it? I wasn't all that shocked by that. Here's another interesting tidbit. Americans who live in the rural parts of the United States are more likely to disagree with gender fluidity. 56% disagreed with it. Those who live in the metropolitan areas, less of them disagreed with it. Only 45% disagreed. That kind of went the way you thought it would too, right? I mean, the more conservative people tend to live in the rural areas of our country. The more liberal people tend to live in major cities. Now, in the dictionary, gender identity is defined as this, quote, a person's internal sense of being male, female, or some combination of male and female, or neither male nor female. It defines gender fluid as, quote, of relating to or being a person whose gender identity is not fixed. Can you imagine that? Now, this is 100% demons. What happens is, usually these demons get into a person, sometimes in the womb, sometimes in childhood. And what they do, they begin to morph the person's sexuality in cases of homosexuality, gay or lesbian. They also tend to morph the person's concept of their own gender. These powerful demons, and trust me, they are extremely strong and very difficult to get out. I've seen them many times and worked with them many times before. These things are dangerous, period, from A to Z. In the survey, they found that people that attended religious worship services at least once or twice a month were more likely to disagree with the idea that gender identity is a choice. 57% said that. People who do not attend worship services, less of them disagreed with it. That was 47%. Now let's flip over, turn the page here real quick to the Pew Research Center. They also did another study. I keep track of Lifeway and Pew all the time. So you don't have to, by the way. They released a study that found 50% of American Christians believe casual sex between consenting adults is sometimes or always acceptable. 62% of Catholics, 56% of Protestants in the historically black tradition, and 45% of mainline Protestants and 36% of evangelical Protestants agreed casual sex between consenting adults is sometimes or always okay. A majority of Christians across the board, 57%, believe it sometimes or always acceptable for unmarried adults who are in a committed romantic relationship to have sex. Translation, Jesus' opinions on adultery have been thrown out the window. I can remember years ago, I think it was 1983, I had recently been divorced, and on the rebound, I fell in love with this girl I met at work. I was working as a professional counselor at a company called Intracor in Phoenix. And I started having an affair with one of the nurses there, and I just flipped over. I thought she was just fantastic. And I remember one night we were in bed, and pillow talk. Obviously, this was before I turned my life over to the Lord. I mean, years before. And she was telling me that she was a graduate of ORU, and she was a Christian, and that she had gotten her nursing degree at Oral Roberts University, and that some of them taught that having sex outside of marriage was a sin. And I can still remember this day, and I don't know why I remember it. She said, I just certainly don't believe that. And that was exact words to me. That was 1983. And I didn't think much of it after that until I became a Christian years later. But what we're seeing, friend, is transgenderism, homosexuality, gay, lesbian, pedophilia. Pedophilia has just been reduced in California. The crime, the penalties for it have been reduced for older males having sex with underage women. It's absolutely unbelievable. Satan is doing this. This is his job, and the Bible predicted it. 2 Timothy chapter 3, "This know that in the last days dangerous times shall come, for men shall be lovers of their own selves, covetous, lovers of pleasure more than lovers of God." 1 Timothy chapter 4, the Spirit speaks expressly that in the latter days some shall depart from the faith, giving heed to seducing spirits and doctrines of demons, speaking lies and hypocrisy, having their consciences seared with a hot iron. Friend, we're seeing that in our society right now. This is the end. We're near the end now. I believe the Antichrist is alive. I think he's over in the Middle East somewhere. He's probably a teenager, probably in high school, something like that. This thing's getting close to the end, friend. You can see how fast it's unraveling now with COVID-19 starting in February of this year. Our entire country has dramatically changed from one end of the country to the other in a very, very short period of time. Jesus warned that Christians were going to miss the rapture. He warned them. Luke chapter 21. "Take heed to yourselves, lest at any time your hearts be overcharged with surfeiting and drunkenness and the cares of this life, so that that day comes upon you unaware." He's talking about the rapture. "For as a snare it will come on all them that dwell on the face of the whole earth." Talking about the rapture. "Watch therefore and pray always," Jesus said, "that you may be accounted worthy to escape all these things that shall come to pass, and so you may stand before the Son of Man." All these things that come to pass, he's talking about the horrors of the tribulation. Many born-again Christians will not make it in the rapture and will have to go through the tribulation. 2 Peter chapter 2, the great apostle warned us that there were people coming into the church that have eyes full of adultery and they cannot cease from sin. I just had a sex addict come to me a couple of days ago for counseling. They cannot cease from sin. They can't stop. Lust. They can't stop committing adultery. They can't stop staring at men and women lustfully. Peter said, quote, "They beguile unstable souls with a heart they've exercised with covetous practices. They have cursed children, which have forsaken the right way and went astray." We're seeing that all over the United States right now with BLM and Antifa and other maniacal groups destroying the country. If you fit into this category, friend, you're eligible for free counseling services if you're a Christian. 602-636-5800. Please come get help now.
The views expressed on this program are those of the host and not necessarily those of staff, management, or ownership. This program was sponsored by Michael W. Smith.